Good morning, Evan, and welcome to lesson 3. It seems to be going really quickly. So now we're done with photosynthesis, which is really cool because it's not the nicest section, but at least it's a nice section to be asked questions on. Now we are doing animal nutrition. So animal nutrition, we're going to start off with just by covering the teeth, because then we can do a whole system together or two per lesson. So we know what the food chain is. The food chain is what eats what, and what's at the top. So plants are at the bottom, and we actually are at the top, and with also a bunch of other stuff. So a food chain begins with its producers. Producers things, vegetation, your plants. And then it moves on to your primary consumers, your first trophic level. So those are cows and buck that eat your producers. Then it goes into your secondary consumers, which is second and third trophic level, which are the animals that eat your primary consumers. So lions that eat your cows. Very sure you won't get lions eating cows, but it makes sense. So when you have producers, arrow, primary consumers, arrow, secondary consumers, that arrow represents the flow of energy. So as we know, photosynthesis creates energy, creates glucose in the plant. Now the cow comes along and eats the plant. Now they get this energy. So it's transferred. Then the lion comes and eats the cow. Now the lion has that energy. It says only about 10% of energy goes forward from the previous level, because it's obviously being used in the level that it went to. And then it gets transferred. So the least amount of energy that one of the levels gets is your secondary consumers, because it's already only gone 10%. So your producers start off with the most, but your secondary consumers have the least by the end. So we know we have herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. Herbivores, only plants. Carnivores, only meat. And omnivores, both, like us. So if you eat different things as a complete lifestyle, you will have different teeth. That makes sense. If you don't have to tear apart meat, you won't have sharp canines for tearing. If you don't need to ground down grasses, you won't have flat and broad premolars and molars. So I made a table for you for your different types of teeth for your omnivores, herbivores, and carnivores. Just to make it really simple. Obviously you still need to read through your work, and you are welcome to add anything, but the way the textbook puts it makes it seem really overwhelming, because it's just a whole bunch of words. But now if you put it in a table, it becomes a point system. So you have incisors, canines, premolars, and molars, which a herbivore has a different for each, carnivore different for each, and same for omnivore. So that's how I did it, and it really shows how simple this page is. So mammals are homeothermic. We're mammals, we're homeothermic, we're warm-blooded. They need a lot of food to keep their heat energy up. This is why, like I said, we are the secondary consumers. We get the least amount of energy, but we need the most because we're warm-blooded. So we'll obviously eat a lot more. So all of the teeth of fish and reptiles are similar to mammals. Their incisors are at the front of the mouth. The canines just behind the incisors, and then it's your premolars and molars, or your cheek teeth. And they have uneven surfaces for crushing. So for fish and reptiles, they're very similar, but now we're going to be focusing more on our mammals, our herbivores in animal form, and carnivores and omnivores. So herbivores, they eat plants. They don't eat meat. They don't need to tear apart or kill something else. So they need to chew and digest their meat. But they they can't do this. So they're classified as frugivores, which eat mainly fruits, browsers, who eat mainly leaves, and grazers, who eat mainly grasses. So many eat fruits and leaves, but sometimes eat other parts of the plants, for example, roots and seeds, but they're still herbivores. Usually herbivores cannot chew or digest meat. That makes sense. If they can't do it, they can't eat it, then they won't go and eat it because they can't. So they digest the mash they make. So they mash it really down in their mouth before they swallow it so that it's easy to digest. So they have well-developed incisors, your front teeth, flat and cutting edge. Obviously, they need to cut the grasses. They don't have canine teeth. They don't need to eat meat or tear anything. And the premolars and molars are broad and flat with well-developed and complex ridges because they need to grind down that food in their mouth before swallowing it and digesting it. Then they have a space in front of their premolars called the diastema. The animals push their tongue through this gap to sweep up grass into their mouth. That's in the column in my table. That's in the fun fact or need to know column because it's unique to them. Carnivores. They need meat to get their nutrients. This is from predation, so hunting or scavenging. The powerful muscles and their wide jaws of a predator or carnivore helps them to catch and kill prey. And the scavengers then eat off the carcasses that other predators have killed. Their canines are long and dagger-like for grasping, piercing, and tearing into their prey. Their incisors are short, pointed, and prong-like for holding and shredding, especially when they need to kill an animal like a cheetah chasing a buck, you can see. Their roots are long, so they are well anchored. If they are fighting against something that's live, I know it sounds terrible, they need to be able to have strong teeth that won't come out if they grasp too hard or bite too hard. Premolars and molars are large, flattened and triangular teeth with jagged edges that slice against each other like scissors to cut the flesh. These are called carnassial teeth. So everything in a carnivore's mouth is adapted for them to kill and eat meat. Then omnivores. Omnivores, obviously, they eat both. We are omnivores, such as us. The incisors are more shovel-shaped. As you can see, you can go look in the mirror, and your incisors are more shovel-shaped. Your canines are pointed for tearing, because we still have to eat meat, some of us. And flat molars are bumpy crowns, because we still want to grind down our food, such as our vegetation. And our incisors need to be able to get through a lot of types of food. That's why they're shovel-shaped and sharp almost. Humans are the best example of an omnivore. We have the greatest variety of teeth. Our teeth spectrum is the most out of every other mammal because we're advanced in what we eat and how we live and how we have advanced. So our bodies, so our teeth have adapted to eat and be able to digest everything that we put into our body. So I know it was a short section, and like you don't have homework because we're going to start with the digestive system next, but I really wanted to give it its own lesson because we can put it all in one and make a nice little rhythm out of it, and it won't be too confusing. So I gave you about 4 activities here for your last lesson, so you can send those to me. You need to send those to me and ask me questions, and then on Thursday we'll talk about how well you understood it. So read from page 101 to 112 for your last lesson, and then 119 to 120 from this lesson, and there's no activities, but I will send the notes. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day and work hard.